Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarai and I am a life coach helping you learn how to manage your mindset so that you can truly achieve the life of your dreams and the life you really deserve. Now this video is going to be the top 7 ways that you can be present with your family. These are tips that I use with my family to help us really maximize the most that we can out of the time that we have together. Now, number 1, and make sure that if you like this video, go ahead and like it and then subscribe to my channel and turn on your notifications so that you will be notified the next time I post another video, because it will be coming. All right, so tip number one is assume that every outcome, every result was your responsibility, all right? Assume that it was all up to you as to how you end up having either a good time or not a good time. Now, what if that was all on your plate, right? You might be thinking, well, how is that possible? Because if somebody does something that you don't like or that hurts you or whatever, then, well, how is it my responsibility? So first of all, if you're looking for more information on that, I do have two videos, a part 1 and a part 2, on how you can really take back control of your life and assume that responsibility in a way that you can integrate it into your life and make those changes. But let's just assume for now that you decide to actually do that and show up. Okay, just it's a thought. You can just decide to show up as someone who takes that responsibility. And if you did that, what do you think would happen? Well, you would probably take different action and you would approach it in a different way, right? So, perfect example of this. Let's say that you're looking, salute baby. Let's say that you're looking for more together time with your family and you're not really sure how to go about it, but you start assuming that it's on you, and you're like, okay, so if I took responsibility for this and I assume that this is something that I can change, what might I do? Now, for me, right, if we normally eat in front of the TV, a great alternative to that is eating at the dining table at a specific time, right? So we're all eating together at the table. Another thing that might happen is that I decide to get creative and maybe bring some topics or something to the table, right? And to talk about. And another thing that I might do if I was really creative would be to say, all right, you know what? And during this time, we're not going to use any cell phones. No TV, no cell phones. It's going to be a technology-free time. And that's actually one of my other points. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But those are creative ways. Assuming that I take that responsibility, I've now created that as to how, like, some extra ideas as to how we can do it, right? So I showed up differently to it. So that's really number 1, showing up differently, taking that responsibility. Now, number 2, expectations, okay? Forget about them. Give them away, release them, let them go, because if you keep your expectations, chances are it can actually make or break your happiness with the outcome of a situation. Perfect example for this. If you have the expectation that everybody's just gonna agree to everything that you have to say about this whole, like, sitting at the dinner table and no phones and, whatever, if you assume that it's just all gonna go perfect, what happens when it doesn't? You get frustrated, you get upset, you get all bent out of shape. But instead, if you allow it, because that's really the key here. When you have your expectations and you have it like this should happen after this and this, all your little steps in a line, it's like you're forcing it to go down a certain way, right? You're forcing that to happen this way exactly as I want it. But when you release that, you allow a situation, an event, you allow it to unfold however it wants to unfold. And it also helps you stay in a more creative space in terms of coming up with alternatives. So let's say that your family does give you a hard time about it. Being in that, having no expectations, being in that creative space allows you to come up with alternative ideas. And you can always, right, if you bring up a topic and they don't want to do it, or maybe you have a game or something that you want to play and they don't want to do it, say, hey family, okay, that's understandable, but what other ideas do you have, right? What would you like to talk about? Maybe there's even if they're not playing a game, but they want to talk about a game or something, like a video game or something that's out there, leave it up there, and allowing the expectations to come down, like that wall to come down, really opens up and sets it up for the next thing, which is number 3, holding space. Now let's talk about that dining table again, right? Let's imagine that on the dining table that there is a box, right? It's a clear box. This invisible clear box, right? You can see through it. And we're gonna pretend, and you can tell your family and say, okay guys, there's a box on the table. And for this meal, we are going to put in this box all of our frustration, all of our anger, all of our judgments, anything that is negative, we're gonna put it in the box, okay? Not that it doesn't exist, we're still gonna own it. It's still ours. We all contribute and we all have some of these emotions in this box, but we're not gonna hold on to them right now. We're gonna let them go. They're right there. We can see them and we'll take them back after the dinner's over. But for right now, all that we're gonna have in that heart is love and respect and peace and acceptance, right? So no expectations. Expectations go in the box and we're just holding space for each other, all right? So only space of love is what we have in our hearts. So that is, it's just a great way to leave that judgment behind. And it's funny because we are more accepting to a stranger's opinion than we are to our loved one's opinion, right? When you think about it, it's like, why is that? So what it boils down to is that when you have a loved one, it's almost like you feel responsible for them, right? Like you feel like, oh, well, I don't like the way that they're responding because why? Because it's different than you. They respond in a different way than you would. But yet, isn't that why you love them, right? For their differences? Because guess what? That's actually why you're with them, is because they are different from you. If they were exactly like you, they wouldn't be in your experience, because that doesn't lead to growth, right? So you actually want them. You're in a relationship with them because they are different from you, because they have different opinions, but yet we still judge them because they're different. So think about that and allow the judgment to be left on the table, all right? And really be open to whatever they have to say. Now, the fourth thing is what we call a heart talk. Now, for my family, this is where we have a little stuffed skunk, okay, a little stuffed animal skunk, not a real one, a stuffed animal. And whoever is holding that little stuffed skunk gets to say whatever is on their mind. No judgments, nothing held against them. Just, they get to say whatever it is, and no one is going to say anything else about the subject that they're talking about. Whoever's holding it gets to speak their mind, and then we can pass it around for whoever wants to speak. It's a great way to really share what's on your heart without feeling like you're going to be judged or blamed about it, and without getting any sort of answer or reply back. Okay, that's really important, and it helps to cultivate an understanding and an appreciation for each other. Now, number 5 is the technology-free time. So I mentioned this earlier about being at that dining table, but you can even do this, and this is really important, 45 minutes to an hour before you go to bed, and 45 minutes to an hour after you wake up. Now, why is that, Sarai? Why is that gonna be beneficial? So the 45 minutes to an hour right before we go to bed and right when we wake up, our brain waves slow down, or they're still slow as we're coming out of sleep. And we are extremely susceptible to whatever is being fed to us, mentally fed to us. So if we're looking at Instagram, or we're watching the news, or just even cartoons, that is what's going into our subconscious, and that's what we're thinking about for the next 8 hours. So think about that. What is it that, are you really wanting to have somebody else's Instagram account or the news about the coronavirus? Or something else, something negative out there? Is that really what you want, like all rooting around in your brain all night long or all day long? Or do you want to prepare yourself, really set yourself up for success and really work on being present with your family? That's what we want. So creating some sort of routine that incorporates your family into that is so crucial and special. It really is such a special time, especially for children. So that is one of my favorites, is eliminating technology around that time and instead adding something else like meditation, or adding that heart talk, or even just talking about your day, talking about what you did during your day, what worked, what you could have done a little bit differently, right? And then what you want to achieve for tomorrow. And this can be done with kids. Now, number 6 is, this is so special because this is what is called so I call it 5 minutes uninterrupted FaceTime. I know it sounds long. Now, right, this plane going overhead, think about expectation. If I had the expectation that this video was gonna go without any interruptions, I might be upset right now, but I'm not, because I don't have that expectation. I decided before I did this that I was gonna let whatever happened to happen, and then I was just gonna keep on moving on. So, perfect example of that. Anyway, okay, going back to number 6, which is the 5 minutes of uninterrupted FaceTime. Now, I'm not talking about FaceTime, iPhone FaceTime, okay? I am talking about face-to-face, eye-to-eye, one-on-one attention. I want you to think about it. When was the last time that you gave someone 5 minutes? 5 minutes of consecutive, uninterrupted, one-on-one time. Not where you spoke to them, where you listened to them, where you looked them in the eye. You just paid attention to who they are, what they had to say. When was the last time that you did that? Can you imagine? We don't give people in general, like maybe some of you do, but most of us do not give, think about this, we don't give our children 5 minutes of uninterrupted time to just listen to them and be with them, to not judge them or critique them because you didn't like their response. And when was the last time that you did that with a loved one, with your significant other? To just listen and be there for them, for whatever they had to say. Think about, just if somebody did that with you, how would you feel? How would you feel after that 5 minutes where they just had eye contact with you the entire time? You'd probably walk away going, that was the best 5 minutes of my life. Like, what could be better? How special would you feel? And what a way to connect with your family. So that's why it is on my list of the top 7. Goes number 6, and then number 7, first, last, and only. Number 7, first, last, and only. So imagine, right? We can use this in the example that I just gave. Imagine that you're talking to somebody with this 5 minutes. And what if you had the thought that this was the first, the last, and the only time that you will ever have with this person? How would you show up to that? How would you show up to that conversation? This is great to use even with people that you don't appreciate right now, that you maybe have a rocky relationship with. What if it was the first, the last, and the only time that you had with them? And I know, that you might be thinking, oh, thank God, because I don't really care for my mother-in-law, or what, I don't care for my boss, whatever it might be. But what if it really, though? What if it was the first, last, and only that you had to hear them as a person, to be there for them? You might go into that conversation a little bit different, especially if it's a loved one, especially if it's someone that you care about so deeply. Often, too often, we just let the moments go by, and we just kind of la, and we just get too busy and caught up in the silly things of life, whether it's catching up on Netflix, or even if it's something that we view as furthering ourselves, a book on success or whatever it might be. Yes, that's a great thing to do. But have we given our 5 minutes to our family yet? Great thing to ask yourself. Okay, the planes are coming again. The jets are coming. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe, like this video, turn those notifications on. Again, I will see you later. Sarai, life coach. Have a good one.